What's up, blockchain gang? Today, we're going to take a look at the local gold market and how it can be used to help your character progress faster and increase your earnings. This is part 3 of a 3-part series, so you should probably go check out those other videos first if you have not done so already. Before we get into it, I'd just like to explain why this guide took so long to make. It started out as a much smaller segment to a comprehensive earning guide, but the changes made to the game made the market conditions very volatile, so this is the 6th. And hopefully final time I have attempted to make this guide. The journey began over 4 castle sieges ago after earning 10,000 gold in less than a month to exchange my first duplicate pet. I felt like I'd mastered the local marketplace well enough to produce a helpful guide, but the devs were not happy with the amount of gold in the game, so they took away the daily gold packages, which was a large source of inexpensive gold income for many players. To further destabilize local economies, the formula that produced tradable items was radically nerfed, and the gold costs of sealed boxes for the DRACO market were then doubled. They also released Hydra Pay and ran multiple burn campaigns, artificially raising prices, and now the economy finally seems to have stabilized for the most part, enough to where this guide should not become totally irrelevant after the next patch or two. I hope these tips help you in MIR4 enough to gently tap that like button as if it were a mechanical device directly wired up to a dopamine valve in my brain. And let's get to work.
Yeah. Oh, don't you know that's the sound of the men working on the chain. Gang. Don't you know that's the sound of the men working on the chain. Gang. Can you even say it?
I don't want to waste anyone's time here, so I would advise you to almost completely ignore the market until your Tower of Conquest reaches level 9, as that is when your tax on sales is reduced to 10%. You can further cut all taxes paid in half once it reaches level 10. Of course, this only applies to sellers as you pay no tax for buying items with gold. Please do not use these prices as a guide, as each local gold market will depend on the amount of gold and marketable items in circulation at any given time. It's a good idea to favorite items you're buying and selling often, so you can keep an eye on the price each day and see how the prices are trending on your server. Never go by the average item price, as this is commonly incorrect due to players ghost trading with their alt accounts in order to pass gold or items between each other. Don't do this, as it is surely a bannable offense. You can find out more info on this on my How to Get Banned in MIR4 video. If you play with multiple accounts, I'll go over how to get better deals and essentially do the same thing without having to do 10 years hard time a little later. But back to the average item price. When looking at equipment, the average price doesn't take into account the enhancement levels. So obviously a +7 or +8 piece is going to hold more value than a freshly crafted raw piece. While rare and epic equipment are in high demand, green gear is usually worth less than 10 gold, unless it's enhanced at +6 or above. Remember that on average, a +6 piece will cost you around 57,000 copper, 19 stones, and 19,000 dark steel because you fail the +5 50% of the time and the +6 70% of the time, which results in breaking the item. Similarly, a +7 is going to cost you 285,000 copper, 95 stones, 19 pieces of gear, and 95,000 dark steel. Of course, you can lower these costs by using the yellow mystic stones, but it is still important to consider that most codex pieces cost much more to create than they are sold for in terms of gold. When talking about rare and epic gear, you really have to watch the market to see what they are going for, and depending on the class, the offensive or defensive alternative of a piece could be almost worthless compared to the other. It is usually better to not enhance rare gear, as a raw piece will often sell for more than a +6 piece because there's a chance that they could get lucky while enhancing it themselves for a +7 or +8, and this saves you on the material cost. If you prefer to gamble instead, you can usually sell a +7 for 50% more than a +6. While if it is a T4 and a +8, it will be worth much more due to it being able to be used as an epic dragon material substitute. All mystic pieces that can be sold on the market can also be sealed for 50 gold and sold on the EXD for Hydra. Currently, it's almost always better to sell them on the EXD than for gold, but you should probably check the math on your piece in both places to be sure. Usually experience boost, working boost, and high power score pieces go for the most. Skill tomes will vary depending on how important important awakening that particular ability is to the class you are playing, and how popular the class is currently for people who are switching classes after level 50 and don't want to grind out the ability tomes for the new class. If there are no other abilities listed of that tome, it's a good idea to start very high at around 1,000 gold or more and lower the price by 5 to 10% every 3 to 5 days until you find a buyer or someone else starts selling the same tome. At that point, you may have to lower your price even more if you need the gold, but I wouldn't settle for less than 500 gold with how hard they are to come by. There really isn't enough info out there on pricing epic ability tomes, so it's the best idea to start really high and slowly lower it over time. You can also try advertising it on Discord, as some people are willing to travel to your server to buy it. Enhancement stones will always become plentiful when they are no longer needed, so they do not retain value very well. It's a good idea to sell these as soon as you can get a stack worth of 20 gold or more. The reason why we always want at least 20 gold from sales is because if we have a level 10 conquest tower, we have a 5% tax rate. Since 5% of 10 gold is 0.5 gold, they will round it up to 1 full gold, which means you're paying twice as much tax as you should be. And if you make your minimum price 20 gold instead, you'll always pay the 5% tax instead of 10%. When you want to work on your gear codex and you run out of stones, they will be more affordable to purchase than when you sold them. The exception to this is the darkened stones, and that is largely dependent on the policies of the clans that control the valleys. The reputation codex is a great way to make additional gold while you're working on your own codex buffs. When you get tradable gear, it is usually always better to enhance it, but check the raw market price to be sure. For example, if the base gear is selling for 20 gold and a plus 2 is selling for 40 gold, I will take the 20 gold without a second thought. However, if there are 50 raw pieces for 10 gold, they're probably not selling very often, but if I see a plus 2 that's worth 40 gold, I'll try to enhance it or it will never sell. Many players will pay more gold for beacon pieces instead of snake or redmoon since they're currently farming there and have no problem obtaining them. Once you can grind the monsters and bosses on the 4th floor of Beacon Labyrinth, Beacon Valley, and Demon Bull Labyrinth, you'll be able to farm plenty of these. When you no longer need a piece for your own codex and it's not selling on the market very well, enhanced or otherwise, it's time to stop farming those areas that drop those pieces or start combining them for other random pieces. The next section is upgrade material for Constitution and Inner Force. The thing you have to remember about these is that it takes 20 of one rarity to craft the next level, as well as some copper and energy and life elixirs at higher levels. When you do the math on these, it is always better to sell the lower levels if they are marketable, because they'll always lose significant value when you upgrade them. Personally, I would rather use my ancient gold coins in the space-time shop rather than use the market to obtain these, which also keeps the prices low. Promotional materials are also great sellers, and the same principle applies in that it's better to sell the lower tiers and only craft with the untradeable materials. It is not as bad as the upgrade materials because they have a ratio of 10 to 1, but you will still earn more and progress faster by selling the lower tiers you don't need and buying the higher ones that you do, especially if you don't wait until the last second and watch the market for clearance prices. Feels good to never get stuck at a promotional material bottleneck ever again because you don't have enough clan coins or magic square shards. I made a lucky boss rush video about how to obtain these materials quickly from unique monsters with high drop and lucky drop chance rate if you want to check it out. What I mean by clearance prices are players who are desperate for gold because they're trying to NFT their character to quit the game, or just because they need gold perhaps in a pinch before they have to pay their dues to run their second expedition in the clan. Remember, by favoriting these items, you'll be able to notice these clearance prices, but they typically happen right before the expeditions are ran, as that's when the majority of clans are demanding that their members pay that gold fee. Crafting material concepts are similar to the previous two sections in that you should only craft untradeable materials and sell everything you can't use. But the exceptions here are that you can't make much gold on greens because of the tax rate. And once you get up to epic materials, you'll increase your earnings if you combine 100 of these into the EXD box and sell that on the DRACO market instead. This will largely be limited to the amount of glittering dust, life elixir, dark steel, copper, and energy that you're able to generate. If you have to purchase purchase any of these items with gold in order to craft them, you're flushing most of your profits down the drain. The Magic Square and Secret Peak are great ways to get extra dust or elixir from shards and crystals, as well as trading 3 blue dragon statues at Damp Yo in Beachin Castle. When it comes to magic stones, most people will not pay 10 gold for an uncommon, so you're better off just combining them. While some stones are more popular than others, the value of most stones are derived from the bonus attributes attached to them. All damage and crit seem to be the most sought after stones, while experience stones are the rarest, as these cannot come from chests, but only combining. The best stones will usually repeat their primary stats, such as health on top of health, or have all defensive or offensive stats instead of a hybrid of the two. Some people would just like to raise their power, so people are still buying vigor and mana stones even if they don't fit into their build. The green are probably the least wanted, followed by mana. For more info on stones and their builds, you can check out my Magic Stone Guide. Spirit treasure prices can be all over the place due to people buying them up for their codex or builds for their alts. Experience and mining treasures seem to have the most value. The rest all hold value only to specific classes, or because they're needed for the codex in abundance when compared to only needing a few of the other treasures. Uncommons really won't even sell for 10 gold unless it's a pickaxe or experience boost treasure. Remember when purchasing treasures that it's only a temporary boost unless you're putting an epic treasure into an epic pet, so don't overspend if you can hold out for a clearance price or a better pet to put it in. Unlike weapons and armor or magic stones, buying these and using them mean that you cannot resell them at a later date. I don't really deal in potions, so I can't give you much advice on them at this time. I may make a guide on them in the future if I try it out and there's any potential for profit. I've crafted about 20 epic experience elixirs and none of them have been marketable. The only time I seem to get a marketable version is from high level world boss loot, and this seems to be the most valuable of all the potions. When it comes to the dark steel boxes, you can purchase a sealing box for them with gold, or pay the extra 10% dark steel for a vendor to seal them for you in one of the 3 main cities. Remember that when sealing, you must consider this cost. It costs 1 box to seal either the 100k or the 1 million dark steel boxes, so it is probably better to pay the 10% tax on the small boxes and spend the 10 gold on the larger boxes. But you can compare the prices on your server to be absolutely sure. Energy cannot be sealed by a vendor, and you must use the sealing boxes from the market that you purchase with gold. Since you're spending 10 gold on a box, it's almost always better to sell the million boxes instead of the 100,000. It's also a good habit to save up to buy the large pack of sealing boxes in order to get a discount on them. Old silver is bought very frequently and is an easy source of gold if you're good with your potion and copper management. This can come at a cost of experience though if you're constantly grinding monsters far below your own level to conserve your health. When an event begins, such as the war drums for the castle siege, always sell the badges for the codex if you can. They'll be worth the most gold at the start of the event, and they'll sell for much less as the event comes to a close. One of my alts was lucky to get 2 tradable badges the first night, which sold for 150 gold, and bought 5 for 30 gold each 3 days later. Once the badges are no longer obtainable, the price will slowly start to rise again. There are probably some items I missed here that you may have questions about, and if I don't cover them, it's probably because I have not dealt with them personally. If you would like to talk about one of these items, please share your knowledge in the comments below. Remember when crafting to move your marketable items that you don't want to craft into your personal storage, as the warning indicator is never 100% accurate. For example, if I'm crafting an item with all marketable materials, it will always warn me of that. But if I'm using 18 non-marketable materials and 2 marketable materials, it may not warn me that I'm about to spend items that could be sold. Then, whenever you're ready to list some items, you can visit the storage. This will really help keep your inventory space cleared up. I'm going to list a few items in the market on my accounts now and go over some strategies. I'm using a simple Google sheet to track the prices I list items for to ensure that I don't accidentally purchase items from my alt, which could get my accounts banned for ghost trading. There is a link to the sheet in the comments if you want to make a copy of it for yourself. Now on my main account, I have no need for promotion gear at this time, so I'm trying to unload all of that. I also mine dark steel on this this character, so selling unneeded crafting materials is another source of gold. I don't have any epic dragon pieces at the moment, so I don't know what to focus on. I'm just crafting a little at a time until I get a new piece to start working on. Now I'm going to list some more items on my alts, but we're going to hold off on these suckers right here so I can show you how to monopolize a market for steady gold income after that. Keep in mind that I do not ghost trade, and this will take a heap of gold to start out if you want to be successful. Usually you'll need at least about 500 gold for rares and 1500 gold for epics, so a 2000 gold starting budget is ideal and will boost your income by 500 to 1000 gold per week. On my second account, I'm harvesting herbs, so as I upgrade them to progress my character, I will sell off all the rare, tradable materials that I have and put the epics in an EXD box for that market, just like I do on my main account. My third account mines ore and my fourth account meditates for energy. My plan with the third account is to only sell materials that I need on my first account for epic crafting, so they're not in direct competition with one another. I'll use these accounts to help my main account monopolize one of the markets here for you all. When you want to make gold fast and unload items, simply listing everything for slightly less than the next lowest listing is the best option. If your items have not sold for a while, you may check the prices and see that someone else has listed it for less, and now your items are not the best deal. Many times this will start a competition, a reverse bidding war to see how low people will go. Now in order to make a profit, you need to buy an item over and over again for a low price and sell it for a higher one. I do not see other sellers as my competition in this game, okay? I see them as my employees. Even though I play 24 hours a day with 4 accounts, I can only earn so much in a short amount of time. However, if I'm able to hire all of the other players in the server to work for me, sell me their items for cheap, and then resell them to the whales, I can earn much more as an enterprise than I could as an individual. This is why you must monopolize a single important item from the market. What this means is that you'll make it impossible for anyone to buy this item on your server without you making money from the transaction. You'll either make a lot of money if it is one of your own items, or you'll make a little money because you are reselling it for someone else, but you will always make profit. I'll usually take the average price of a rare and double it to find my target price. On epics, you can get away with adding about 50% to the average price. Keep in mind, I'm talking about the real average price and not the average price listed in the game. Using these as an example, I'm going to buy all of them that are listed for less than 3 gold, and then sell them for 4 gold. I picked this item because of the relatively small amount of them for sale that were below my target price. This means I can make at least 1 gold profit for each one sold, and when you do the next trick, you can maybe even double or triple those profit margins. All you have to do is list the items cheaper with your alts and keep relisting them if they sell. Then once you have driven the price down, people will relist their items that didn't sell for less, and you can buy them all at a discount with your main. Of course, you run the risk of people buying all of your alt's items before other people list more, so this won't always work to perfection. Once you run out of your 500 gold budget, it's time to remove all of your alt sales and make your own listings for 4 to 5 gold now that they're the only ones that are available. One mistake I see many people make is to list items for a reasonable price, but list them for hundreds of gold. I don't buy these players out usually unless it is a really good deal, and I don't try to compete with them, I just ignore them. Most players don't want to spend hundreds of gold at a time for a single upgrade, and if you list them in smaller packs of 20 to 50 gold price ranges, you can command a higher price per unit with people buying multiple orders at a time while passing on the deal that is half price but double the amount that they wanted to spend. The other problem with this strategy is that once the rare prices get to be too expensive, people will start buying the epics instead. This is why it is best to start with 2,000 gold and monopolize both the rare and epic varieties. The only difference is that I'm driving down the prices so that I can buy them for cheap with my main to be sealed in DRACO boxes instead of to be resold on the market, which is why you will need so much gold to start out with. If you use the gold you earn from selling rares, you'll always have enough to buy the underpriced epics to seal those boxes much faster than if you were crafting them all yourself. Now try to follow me here on how I bypass ghost trading. If my alt sells an item for 2 gold to a different player on the server, and then somebody else lists the same item for 2 gold, and I buy it with my main, and then resell it for 4 gold, I am essentially ghost trading but without ghost trading. That is, I transferred an item from my alt to my main, only I did it through 2 other people. Another way to help with this is to ask your clan leader if you could donate gold for the expeditions with your alt instead of your main, so you can help funnel more gold onto them. This is how I'm able to spend so much on my character's progression, flip an epic pet, mint my character, and pay for weekly expeditions. I'm usually earning about 1 to 2,000 gold each week with my main account, and about 200 gold each week on my alts, with an additional 1 to 2 Hydra from sealing EXD boxes. At current values, while still progressing all 3 characters and adding value to them as NFTs, I'm earning about $40 each week. Of course, this $40 is being invested in Hydra for daily compounded interest at a rate of approximately 100% APR. If I were able to maintain this for a period of 52 weeks and all prices remain the same, after 1 year of playing the game, I will have earned a little less than $5,000, not counting the amount I earned from selling the NFT characters or from my NFTs in Mirage. If I estimated the total value of 1 year of play, it would be around $8,000 or just under $22 a day. This is pure speculation, of course, as prices will certainly change over the period of 1 year. That means I could be earning much less, but if Wemix were to go up to $100, for example, my earnings would look more like $200,000 in 1 year, or 3 times what I used to earn while working 60 to 80 hours per week at my previous job. I hope some of these tips help you master the market in MIR4 to increase your earnings and progression faster than ever. Don't forget to like and subscribe so we can do this again sometime.
Commander, do you think that we have any chance of surviving?
If I were you, Counselor, I wouldn't ask me that question. I would ask him.
Why?
Because he's the one who believes in miracles.
I believe in miracles since you came along, you sexy thing.